software-defined network security, right? So nevertheless, it's not, you can't just simply put security behind and be an expert. You need to understand what is cloud first. You need to know what is IoT first. You need to know what is machine-to-machine communication is all about, right? Then only we can say, okay, I find gaps in it, I found flaws in it, and we can address that and all that. So hence, that's why I was also involved in cloud computing, cloud security for about 3 years now. Okay, so I hope I don't bore you because there's no hands-on, right? I mean, it's basically me talking aloud, right? And if you find me going too fast, you can stop me, ask me questions, right? I may look like a guy who will beat you up, but I'm not. Feel free to ask me. He knows about me, right? Okay, so may overlap with some of the discussion yesterday, right? But anyway, that allows me an opportunity to ask questions. What is this? This is my standard first slide in all my classes, talks, keynotes, everybody. And I will get all kinds of interesting answers.
Lack of security.
Lack of security. More of the object. What is the object we are looking at? Aeroplane. Okay. This is not line air. We are talking about this device here. Bomb. Wait. Computer. What else?
Chemical.
Chemical. What else? Hard disk. This is what a 5 megabyte hard drive, like in 1996. You need a 40 to carry a 5 megabyte hard drive. 1956. It is about 62 years ago. Yeah. How much does your phone hold? Oh, 62. What phone are you using? 64. What phone are you using? Samsung. Any iPhone users here? You are not admitting or? Okay, good. So we are all in the same category where we can't afford iPhone. No. So you're the rich one. Right? Okay, I'm kind of anti-Apple, right? They are very closed and very expensive, and I'm very happy that they are suffering now, where they lost about 20% of their market share. iPhone disappeared. Don't quote me, huh? Right, this is 1 gigabyte 20 years ago, and all this, SanDisk announced this last year. 2 terabyte micro SD, right? 2 terabyte micro SD. And they have promised to launch this. This should be out by middle of 2019. How do I know this? My wife works at SanDisk. So this is insider information. I hope she doesn't get fired. Okay? And now, storage which needs to be physical, right? How many of you carry pen drive, thumb drives around?
No longer.
No longer. What do you do?
Cloud.
Right?
Cloud.
Right? Cloud. Where's your file? Cloud. It's on the cloud. Right? It's on the cloud. Why not? For me, the reason I moved to cloud because I keep losing my pen drives. Right? Where's my pen drive? I don't know. And my son just threw it away. Right? Just put it in the water. Okay. Cloud. Right? What is cloud? Storage. I asked my father. I asked my father. So he's using cloud storage. So I asked him. Oh, curiosity. It's 70 plus years old. Then, so when you say your file's on the cloud, where do you think your file is? We say, I think there's a satellite flying across the space, and all files are stored in that satellite, right? Beyond the cloud. That sounded interesting, right? Right? We should think about it. Putting our files on the satellite, right? So what is actually cloud? When you give me an example of cloud storage that you guys use. You use cloud, right? Cloud storage. What do you use?
Google Drive.
Google Drive. What else?
iCloud.
Dropbox. OneDrive. Yeah, you're not supposed to be using Google Drive, right? You're supposed to be using Apple storage.
Yeah, I use
Why you use Google Drive?
iCloud.
iCloud.
Yeah, I use iCloud. I just give you the familiar one.
Okay. Dropbox. Okay, so you put all your files there. Where's your file?
We don't know.
Don't know. Where? Where?
But it is
Somewhere.
Anyway.
Where's your file? I don't know, but it's somewhere. When I want it, I just log in, it is there. Right? That's all I care about. Okay? So, definition of cloud. It is. What is cloud?
online storage.
Online storage. Hey, why do you call it online storage? Why do you call it cloud?
Accessible anytime, anywhere.
Same, okay, put it on my server, it is accessible anytime, anywhere, right? Why do you call it cloud? What is that term cloud means? Why are we using the term cloud?
Because we are using a shared facilities or like servers.
Servers, we call it online server storage. Why do we call it cloud?
Because it's shared by everybody.
Yeah?
Virtualized location of
Okay, virtualized location, shared with other people. What else?
Accessible everywhere.
Yeah?
Accessible everywhere.
Accessible everywhere.
I won't go into this.
What is cloud? So cloud is one of the largest shifts in IT over the past decade, fueling innovation across the globe. Right? This is what the growth factor is like. This is what cloud means. Common implies multi-tenancy, not single or isolated tenancy. Common, share. Right? You don't have your dedicated server for you. You share among other users. But still you can say, server I can still share. This is one of the feature. Location independent, can be anywhere. Right? Distributed over locations. It is online. It is utility. Give me an example of other utilities you use.
electricity,
Electricity,
telephone,
water, telephone,
everything.
everything. Why? No, it's not answered. Why? This one is it utility?
Yes.
Are you married?
No, he said everything, not human. Human are not things.
I'm talking about things.
No, I'm testing him. Whether he considers my thing.
I have done that it's not thing.
Huh?
I have told that it is not thing.
I'm trying to get you into trouble.
Yes.
Okay. So, when you, so electricity, water, phone and all that, what does it mean?
Yes.
What does utility mean?
Services.
Services, right? Those days you want to have computing resources, what do? You require computing resources, what do? 15 years ago.
We always think to buy some hardware or like
Exactly. So you go to a shop, you specify, I need a 2 Xeon Platinum processor, 28 cores, Pearl processor, 64 G RAM, 6040 terabyte storage, RAID storage, blah blah blah, and so on. You pay, you take, put it in your premise. Right? You probably pay like 400,000 maybe. Okay? But when you put over there, you probably use about 10% of its capacity. Right? The rest of 90%?
wastage.
Wasted. Okay, I pay 400,000 ringgit to do a work that only needs about 5,000 ringgit. Yeah, you say, no, I'm planning to grow over time. So my usage will go up. But meanwhile, you are wasting your resource. So how do you optimize this? Cloud allows you to look at computing resources as a utility service rather than a product, hardware. Meaning that you pay for what you use. Right? Can you give me an example of SaaS that you guys use, SES, software as a service?
Antivirus.
Antivirus? You still use antivirus?
I mean, those who don't use Apple, then they use antivirus.
Oh, really? This guy is Apple hardcore. We need to talk later. So you're saying Apple is very, very secure. No malware written for it.
No, it's just the hackers are not interested.
I'm not interested. Why are you interested?
I'm not interested.
Okay, the reason is there's not many users out there.
Yeah.
Not many rich people out there. Right? To buy Mac. Right? So that's
It's
why
like really secure. I mean,
it's not
in sense of, what in sense of viruses, you don't really have the ability.
higher, but it is not secure. Right? It could
It's
be
not
higher.
secure.
Right?
Yeah.
It is not secure.
There is nothing
Because nobody's spending time looking for vulnerability in Mac.
Yes.
It's not interesting, just like Linux. It's not interesting. There's not many people I'm going to damage or destroy their life with. What's the point? Windows is about 80% of the market. That's more interesting for me to look for vulnerabilities, look for weaknesses, and then make Microsoft, Satya Nadella pissed off, right? So that is more interesting. Okay? And even Apple is no longer a computer company, it's a phone company. Okay? Okay, so utility implies pay for use. So, example of SaaS is Office 360, Google Docs, Google Drive, what else? Adobe Soup,
Robots.
Robots. These are all services, software as services. Robots is storage as service now, okay. Right? Do you buy the software? You go to, those days you go to EB Plaza or whatever, you buy the DVD, then you install Office, right? Now it's all become as a service. You pay subscription every month, you don't buy the package. Right? If I want to use, I will pay the subscription. If I'm not going to use for this month, I don't have to pay. Right? It has become utility. Demand implies infinite, intermediate, invisible scalability. The keyword for this, one of the most important keywords for cloud, since this is a small audience, so it becomes from presentation to class lecture. This word is synonymous with cloud. Elasticity. Some cases I had to do a session of how to pronounce it. Some of my students cannot pronounce elasticity. They get stuck here. Elasticity. Say with me, elasticity. What does elasticity mean? Scalability. Give me a day-to-day object that is laptop, rubber band, elastic. How difficult to get elastic? Where to buy? You guys know where I can get elastic? Eco shop. Eco shop tak boleh lah, bahaya. Right? Saya nak ajak saya tembak burung. Saya asyik main laptop. Sorry. Many times I forget that there's international audience. I go to Bahasa Melayu, then I apologize. Sorry. Rubber band. Okay? So anyway, I'm trying to get my sons out of the digital world. to the real world. So I'm still taking them fishing. Don't fish on your tablet. Let me take it for real fishing. Right? You want to catch bird, let me teach you how to. So I'm still looking for heavy duty elastic. Rubber band, elastic. When it needs to extend, when there's demand, when there's stress, it will expand. When there's not, it will go back. That's what elasticity is all about. Cloud computing, when there's demand, your computer will grow, virtually. When there's no demand, it will shrink back. Maybe you have an e-commerce site, or Lazada. Well, you all know Lazada, right? Is there anything newer than Lazada? Nowadays, nobody wants to go to the mall. Right? When my son scored A's in his, let's go to the mall and buy gold. No, Dad, I'll go to Lazada and do the booking, you pay. And he's 29 years old. Right? So, Lazada has 11/11 sale. Okay? There's so many people doing Texas. Okay, currently your web portal is hosted on a 2-core 4G RAM with this much memory. On 11/11, traffic comes in, so many requests. In a typical situation, request comes in, it will saturate, you get, page cannot be accessed because it's overloaded. We call it, what do you call this? Not bottleneck, it's what we call flash crowd. It's called flash crowd. Those who are doing DDoS research, you need to differentiate between flash crowd and flooding attack. What's the difference? Okay? So there's going to be a flash crowd. So when that flash crowd, in those days when you do research, we look at how to, rate limit, how to distribute resources to different servers, right? Now I don't have to. When there's demand which is beyond the available resources, the resources will automatically be added. Now you have 2-core 4G, now you have 4-core 16G with more bandwidth, right? Keep on growing as the demand goes up. And when the demands drop, it will shrink back to standard configuration. That is an important aspect of cloud computing, elasticity. Remember this one. It has to be elastic. Okay? The other important aspect of cloud computing is implies infinite. Meaning that, let's say just now we talked about buying a server, putting in our premise, right? That's why I said my business is going to grow. What will happen when it comes to a point where the server is saturated? Cannot handle my businesses anymore. My business is so good, transactions is heavy, this server cannot handle. What do? You throw this server, buy a new bigger server. Right? Because those servers cannot scale. They are fixed. With cloud computing infrastructure, you don't have to throw that server away. You just add a new server. You can pretty much add any resource you want. A laptop, a computer, a Raspberry Pi, anything with a computing resource. And from the user perspective, you will see one large, huge virtual server, which you can deploy virtually. Understand? Okay? And it's immediately available and it's invisible. You do not know what's behind. You don't have to worry, it's abstracted. Okay, so now you understand what cloud computing is. Because if I ask you this, you understand?
Yes.
What is the difference between virtual machine and cloud computing? You probably because immediately, so I want to talk about it. Last question means you all fall asleep. Even worse, if I say, give me the name list, you'll be more alert. What's the difference between cloud computing and virtual machine architecture like VMware? What's the difference?
The elasticity is not the virtual machine.
1, 2, the other one? I mean, one is elasticity. The other point I mentioned, VMware runs on a single server. You cannot add additional resources to what is already there, right? I cannot distribute the resources according to few server or computing resources. It's fixed to that, right? And I can spin up VM machine within that service. Okay? So that's the difference, right? Any questions so far? So, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. Okay, I'll just cover this today. Cloud security yesterday. What we talked about? If you're studying at this, if you're not seeing, that is you are not here. What's the difference between public and private cloud? Public means public cloud. Private means private cloud. Public means it's for public, private is in premise within. Right? The question sounds difficult? Sometimes the answer is simple. Hybrid means some are
Combination between private and
combination. So some is facing the customer, some is already for internal. Right? So SaaS, you know, you have how many type of levels? 3. SaaS, PaaS, IaaS. Of course, there's a lot of other new stuff like mining as service. You know, those who do Bitcoin mining. How many of you do Bitcoin mining? What? You do what? Blockchain. Blockchain different, Bitcoin different. Blockchain is the technology. Bitcoin is the technology. Is what uses the technology. It's an example. You have other stuff like Bitcoin Cash, Monero, and all these things. Right? What was I asking the question for? Mining as a service. So you can actually subscribe to service to do Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin servers, and all that. You can also have network as a service. Right, in software defined network and so on. So many things out there now. Give me an example of SaaS. Example.
Google Apps. Applications.
I'm asking you to tell me what's on the slide. And everybody's like, give me an example of SaaS. I don't know. What? It's here, this example. Platform as a service. Recent platform as a service model. Where have you seen that? Where do you see it? Huh? So you go in a price, so you get a bag later. So you guys had a hands-on yesterday, right? Fireware is a platform that's running on top of any idea? Fireware is running on top of what? Cloud. C-L-O-U-D.
See.
Yeah, the way it's the way.
Okay, tak main-main tu. OpenStack lah, I already know what. OpenStack is IaaS, a controller, right? You build fireware on top of it, and on top of that you build your applications, right? So you taught how to use fireware to build applications, right? Fireware is a platform to allow you to build applications. You just build on top of OpenStack, right? So the reason why I'm selling OpenStack is because the cloud infrastructure that I worked on is OpenStack. Started in 2013. Then I stopped after Horizon. That's the version I stopped at. I moved on to something else. But until today, OpenStack has become the de facto cloud controller out there. Open source, anybody can take and use and add value to it. That's what Pioneer has done. They have taken OpenStack, added value to it, and sell their service. They're not selling OpenStack, they're selling their service. Alright? Okay, so I'll talk a bit about OpenStack later. Infrastructure as a service. Right? OpenStack is my Rackspace. Right? Are we sharing the slides with the participants?
Yeah, later in the
Yeah, so don't have to share. This is all. Okay, the other thing is I'm an open source evangelist. So everything I have is open source. Some of it is mine, some of it is not mine. Somebody already done it, why I want to UK Gambar Italy. Right? Just I take and use and say this. You guys can continue doing that. Okay? Cloud infrastructure is abstraction of your hardware, fast runs on top of IaaS, SSL runs on fast IaaS and so on. Okay? Clear? What is the big deal with cloud? Why everybody is talking about cloud?
Low cost.
Low cost. Oh, sorry. Huh? Here we use here. How? The biggest advantage, we talked about what cloud is, what is the feature, what are the important aspects of cloud. So what's the like what the top said, cost. Traditional IT, meaning you buy servers. You have a fixed cost, where you need to buy the servers, spend a few $100,000, then you have operational cost, maintenance. Okay, maintenance. You are from where? Huh? You know what I Okay, so you have fixed cost and you have an operational maintenance, troubleshooting. You need to hire a guy to look at various aspects of your server, network engineer, system administrator, security engineer. So the cost goes up over time. But when you talk about cloud computing, cost goes up as your operational goes up, as your demand goes up. So it is what you call this in tandem with what you need. Okay? So this may go up or may go down based on time, but this always fits. Okay? So this is the biggest advantage of cloud cost. Right? So now everybody is talking about it is a pakai tangan tissue. Terima kasih. Nanti saya pulang balik. Tissue. Mana ini selesai dah. Yeah, I got distracted by the tissue. What were we talking about just now? UFT sebelum tu apa? Cost. I get distracted sometimes. Internet of Things, right? Everybody know what is Internet of Things, right? IoT. What is IoT?
Interconnection of,
Internet.
I'll be connected to the internet, the internet, interconnection between multiple smart things with internet of things.
So it's just connectivity.
Connectivity, basically connectivity.
Collaboration.
Okay, that's part of the answer. What else?
Integration.
Integration. What else?
Any device is interconnected with the network.
Within the network. Okay. Any other answer?
A thing which is connected to the net.
Things connected to the net. Okay. So these are parts of the answers, or maybe the answer. But before that, what is internet?
Network.
Connectivity.
Network. Everybody uses the internet every day, right?
Yes.
Right? You cannot live without the internet, right?
Yes.
Right? It's like, I rather disconnect from my boyfriend than disconnecting from the internet. True? Right? And nowadays I see a lot of relations like, you are in a relationship, you are sharing a Facebook here, you are sharing a Facebook here. Right? And you are both communicating through Facebook. But although you are dead. Right? That seems to be, I've seen this in a lot of places, even in my family. That's why I'm disrupting this. Don't do it, right? I purposely put on if I want to talk to you. Right? I'm disrupting. It's very bad for the future generation. I don't want a matrix world to happen. Right? It's very, very bad. Okay? So, internet is very, very important. What is internet?
Connectivity.
Connectivity. So that's a network, right? It could be network connectivity, it could be two-way radio, walkie-talkie is connectivity. But what is internet? Connectivity is part of it.
Is
You have a zone, network zone.
Network zone.
Yes. So
What zone?
like how you have a wireless area network. Here in internet we use all this WAN where the connectivity is the
Context.
area, the zone.
connectivity as well as the content.
Connectivity is the content. So I'm always hearing the word connectivity, something new content.
Content.
So when you talk about wireless access, WAN and all that,
Yeah.
that is still connectivity to your network,
Yes.
right? What is internet? What is internet? If it, you see, don't be disheartened. From undergraduate to PhD to industrial forum, academic forum, and ask what is internet, nobody can give you.
Network of networks. What?
The simplest answer:
Internet.
network of computers. This is the traditional, right? You have a network here, right? You have another network there, and all this we create local area network, a metro area network, wide area network, and all this connected using global routing and all that creates the internet. Of course, the long answer is a global communication infrastructure that is used for communication and information sharing using a standard protocol. Right?
This is a book answer.
Book answer. That is the book answer. This is the simplest answer. Right? This is also the correct answer. Internet of Things is network of things. Right? And cloud is a catalyst for IoT. And also now we talk about Industry 4.0. Right? And now we're talking about hyper convergence. There's also something called serverless computing. Right? And getting tired of keeping up with all these things. Right? But if you look at this terminology, they are referring to the same thing with modification here and there. Right? Repackage, create new business. Right? So serverless computing. So cloud is catalyst for IoT. Why is it a catalyst for IoT? I was about to wipe my face with this, but then again, it won't make any difference. Why do you think cloud is a catalyst for IoT?
Using same network.
Yeah,
Using same network.
using SIM. Yang penggorengan. Okay, IoT is expected to generate huge amount of data. Right? When you talk about huge amount of data, you need an optimized processing infrastructure. Huge means how huge? How big? How much? Big data. Big data. The next question, what is big data? What is big data? That's another hype, right? Everybody talks about big data. Big data, this, big data, that, big data, everything. Right? All these terms, my feeling is being abused. The terms are being abused. My feeling is, right? So what is big data? What is your definition of big data? What's the difference between data and big data?
Size of the data.
So in data it's 10, so it will be 10. Size of the data, yes. But the data itself, what's the difference? If you're looking at traffic data, it's data, right? When it comes to big data, what's the difference between traffic data, big data and traffic data? Analytic. So the difference is big data and data. What differs is not the data itself, it's how we process the data. I've worked on machine learning and data analytics 20 years ago. And when we want to do, let's say, train a backpropagation neural network, it's so little data, it takes 1 week to get the result. Because the way the code is written is not optimized. It's running on a single server and all that. Now, there's so little data, it's okay. Now you have so much data coming out. You cannot use the same technique to process the data. You need an optimized approach which can parallelize the task of processing, analyzing and all that, so that you get processed in a short time. The algorithm is still backpropagation neural network. What you do with it is the same. What data is still the same. How you do that differs in big data, right? And you need a lot of computational resource for big data, which is churned out by IoT, I4.0 and all that. What can help to optimize your computing resource? Right? Cloud is always about cost. It helps you a lot with cost. Okay? Any questions so far? No question means everybody understands, nobody understands. Yes, of course, the pros are scale and cost, encapsulated change management, fast maintenance, next generation architectures. You don't have to worry about your server getting out of date. It can always be expanded. If it's hosted by someone else in public, you just tell them they will upgrade it for you. You don't have to worry about change in architecture. Choice and agility. What are the public cloud providers out there? Famous one? Yeah? Amazon. Lagi? Ini juga. Microsoft. Lagi? Google. Lagi?
Space.
Yeah?
Space.
Rackspace, I mean, hosted. Hosted. IBM the cloud. Hosted. Oh, I didn't know. Take subscribe. Subscription list. Okay. IBM, I didn't know that. And AliCloud. AliCloud. Alibaba.
Alibaba e-commerce.
Yeah?
Alibaba is the e-commerce.
Yes, they have a cloud, they also have cloud service provider, very strong. I think they also have penetrated Indian market now. And a lot of projects are involved. You need to have two presence on cloud. One on Ali Cloud, one on Google or AWS.
Reliability, yeah.
Not reliability because China is blocking everything from coming in. So if you're going to provide service into China, you have to work with their infrastructure, work with their cloud service provider, right? So Ali Cloud is provided in China and also around the world. So if I'm going to reduce my workload, what do I do? If I want to work with Google, if I want to go into China, I have to manage Google, I have to manage Ali Cloud. If I put everything on Ali Cloud, which is accessible in China and also around the world, put everything in Ali Cloud, easy. Right? That's why US is very angry. Right? They are blocking everything Chinese.
And it is really difficult.
Yeah?
Really difficult. A few days back I was in Ningbo.
Yeah, right.
I could not actually access Google.
Cannot. Google, WhatsApp, no.
Yes.
Cannot. Everything Google in China, forget about it. Forget about it. Even the
I
VPN,
could
I
not
say,
check my email.
I think I was smart. When I was in China, I say I'm going to, I was in Nanjing 2 weeks ago, I can't remember when, and I was in Guangzhou a few months back. First time I went, I said, it's okay, I'll use VPN. Go there, even VPN is blocked. No Google service at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. They have so powerful, such a powerful filter at their country grade CG, country grade carrier, that everything that goes out of the country is filtered.
Now here I feel at home, but in China I am totally isolated. Only the media.
WeChat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no other choice.
So this is really we are saying the globalized village. When we are in China, not globalized.
China is internet, but something else. Right? They are basically going to block off everything from the rest of the world. Anything that is US, you're not allowed to come in. US will eventually do that to China. They're already doing it. All US already said, you guys, if you're my ally, stop using China product. New Zealand recently blocked Huawei,
Yeah.
right?
New Zealand.
Because they are ally of US, right?
Australia.
Australia will be next. So all the US allies will start blocking. I'm sure the reason is business because Cisco is doing very bad. Huawei is very cheap and very good.
No, China is doing business throughout the world, but when you go there, you
Nothing.
cannot get the things.
Trump wants to kill off China. That's basically, he'll do everything all out to do that. How countries like Malaysia, where we work with both countries, could we support?
So Alibaba and
So we have to do, I mean, if you're hosting, then just put it in cloud. If it comes to a point where US starts blocking, then we need to put one in US. It's going to be very difficult. Let's not look at that yet. I would call that World War III. It'll be online from a commerce perspective. That's World War III. Okay, so those are the advantages. In terms of disadvantage, locking, you go to Alibaba, you're stuck there. Right? You can't move. If you go to AWS, you can't move. Reliability, do you really trust? Or what do you call this? Do you think it's going to be reliable when I need the service? With my own server, I'm confident it's going. Give it to you, boleh jalan tak? Can it work? Right? And lack of control. This is something I also had issue with. Some of the provider does not give you root access, gives you limited account. And when I want to make changes to my network stack, they say no. Like Ali Cloud, you're not allowed to set up your own mail server because we cannot monitor. You want to set up mail server, you need to subscribe to their mail service. And I want to set up my own mail server, I have my own, cannot.
so they do not have any IaaS facility. IaaS.
In China, not allowed. In China, not allowed. It's very, very strict, very, very strict. You have to, a Chinese person, a Chinese national, have to sign off documents, have to provide, go to the court, stamp it, and then they will allow you to start posting. Right? And of course, security. Yeah, talk about video. Don't have much time. Supposed to talk about OpenStack security. Okay. Issues with cloud security, authentication, compliant malware, virus. What's the difference between virus and malware?
Malware is also a virus.
Malware is also virus. A type of virus. Malware is a type of virus. What does malware stand for? Malicious software. We don't call virus anymore. We call malware. Why? What does virus do? It does damage to your computer. Right? I think like Prof come from the 80s. You remember the virus then Michelangelo, right? Zeros your word. Right? The zeros your word. I suffered of Michelangelo. I'm supposed to submit my final year project document. 3 weeks before I was hit with Michelangelo, my word document became zero. I was very depressed, one week suicidal. Then got back on track because everything's still fresh in mind. Did some rubbish, suddenly, right? But that is what virus does. In fact, computer damages kind of stuff. Then we had worm, Trojan, right? And so on and so forth. All this has been put together, all this capability into one, what do you call this, malicious software or malware. So now you will find, don't find antivirus anymore, you find anti-malware softwares, right? It's all anti-malware software nowadays. So, we call malware. So, these are some of the surveys that has been carried out. Why you don't want to adopt cloud computing, public cloud computing, cultural barriers. What does cultural barrier mean?
We are used to the traditional IT. This is the culture, I think.
Right? So you, what do you call this? Old school people like us, resistant to change.
Resistance to change.
Resistant to change. It's working. I'm not sure whether this will work. Right? And I need to trust somebody from outside my country. Right? So, resistant to change. But no choice. In IT, you cannot be resistant to change. We cannot still talking about COBOL. Integration. How does it fit into your existing regulatory? Posting files outside your country and all that. How do you, how does it comply to your Privacy Act? Can you check your Privacy Act?
I know they have it, but I don't know what this is.
That's the discussion of this evening, this afternoon, PDPA. Personal Data Protection Act. Okay? This is okay, quite relaxed. You probably also heard about this GDPR. European Union. General Data Protection Regulation. This is Personal Data Protection Act.
Malaysia?
Malaysia. But I think we talked about it in Bangladesh, about compliance. Bangladesh also has one, right? So every country has your own, but this is very, very strict. So if you're running a global service, web service, right, you need to make sure you comply to this. Right? You say, oh, nobody will access from Germany, so why bother? If somebody accesses from Germany and you do not comply to GDPR, they can sue you, although you're Malaysia. You cannot say you don't access my website. You cannot do that. It's global. If it's global, make sure you comply to this. Some website recently we saw that there will be a pop-up say, we have changed our access policy, blah, blah, blah. Please click here to read and accept. Nobody reads, right?
Just accept.
Close. That is part of the requirement of GDPR. Right? So, in terms of cloud, when you post it, different countries have different regulation in terms of storage, personal data and all that. You comply. We are not sure. To comply takes a lot of work. Right? Who's going to read the documents and make sure check. It's a lot of work. And security and privacy is the biggest. Right? So when you talk about security and privacy, are they referring to the same thing? Is privacy security, is security privacy?
Security actually encompasses the big, but privacy is actually your personal information.
Personal information, but are they the same thing
No.
conceptually?
Yeah, it is the same thing, but honor security, even network security is there. Yeah.
So, yes and no. Right? You say no. Who say no? Apple man. Yes. Aquaman releasing next year.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like security comes first, then privacy. So the difference between them is security is about protection of the assets itself, but then privacy will be just part of the asset, like whether it will be visible or invisible.
I understand what you're saying. So let me just explain to you what's the difference. How is it same? How is it? It's not situation. Security, privacy adds security to you as an individual. Whatever you communicate, whatever communication, whatever data that is being sent over, stored and all that is encrypted, right? That means it adds privacy. Nobody can look at your data. Nobody can carry out man-in-the-middle attack. Nobody can look at what you're doing and all that. So your information is private, right? So it adds security to you, the individual. But as a network administrator, as a security administrator, I can no longer look at the traffic if it's malicious or not. If there's any potential threat in my network, in whatever traffic is being sent. Because everything is secure, it's private to you, nobody can else look at it. If there's any attack, any malware sitting on the network, I can no longer be able to detect any security threat. So, if as an individual, when privacy goes up, security goes up. For the network, when privacy goes up, security goes down. Right? So, yes and no. It's a trade-off. So, for us, you know, it's always fun to look at captured traffic, and look at, well, any signature of malware and all that. We cannot do that anymore. Right? It's not possible. Right? So, same issue with cloud. When you add privacy to the tenant's infrastructure, nobody else can see what they're doing. What is the purpose of you running this service? Is it malicious? Right? Are you selling wheat online? Are you using crypto, what do you call this, blockchain to do illegal activity? Like XMR, Monero, a type of cryptocurrency, is very famous in Mexico. Mafias. Right? Mafias like to use Monero, and it's hosted. It's hosted, nobody knows what they're doing. Because the traffic is encrypted. For a long time, nobody knew what is this traffic is all about. I can't see. Only recently, somebody insider leaked out saying that this mafias hosted cryptocurrency service on this hosting site, and they've been doing illegal activities. So when it comes to cloud computing, most security problems stem from loss of control, lack of trust, right, and multi-tenancy. These problems exist in many third-party management. If you're a private cloud, the issue would be, is your system administrator or the guy in charge of your cloud infrastructure competent? In recent times, there's been so many leaks out there, data leak, what do you call this, hacking attempts and all that. It's not because the system is vulnerable, it's because it's not configured properly, right? If your engineer is not competent, not trained, then you have security issues with your in-house cloud, right? Self-managed cloud still have issues, but not related to work. And what is the DCNDS and also cloud is prone to these 9 notorious threats. Data breaches, data loss, account hijacking, DOS, malicious insider, the use of cloud, insufficient due diligence, shared technology, bring your own cloud. Okay, I think you know all this. DDoS or DOS? Something that I want to highlight a bit. What is DDoS? DDoS. Distributed denial of service. What is that?
Multiple parties or more.
What's the goal? Goal of DDoS attack. What is the goal?
Make the service
Unavailability of
available.
services. Unavailability of services.
Okay.
Down and so forth.
Okay. To bring down the server. Okay, so DDoS, so whenever there is request, the server has to respond, right? And the server has to respond means it needs to use computing resource. Every small request will amount to some computing resource. Imagine 1,000 requests, 10,000 requests, 100,000 requests comes in. What happens to your server? Overloaded, saturated. CPU 100%, memory fully used, bandwidth choked. Right? True? How does DDoS work in cloud when there's elasticity involved? Remember a flash cloud? This is non-intentional. DDoS attack is intentional. So what happens here when you do flash cloud?
Actually, the metering or the client have to pay more.
Yes. So what happens is in cloud environment, due to elasticity, DDoS probability goes down. Because I cannot saturate the server. Each time that it gets choked, it goes higher. I am powerful now. The choke, I'm powerful now. Choke, I'm powerful now. So what happens? Never mind. You're powerful,
Client's
right?
perspective.
Next end of the month, you wait for your bill. Wait for your bill. So my budget is only 1,000 ringgit. I look at my bill, 40,000 ringgit. What happens to me? Close shop. Right? This is called EDOS.
Elasticity.
Economic denial of. I cannot pay the bill anymore. I cannot. I cannot manage the business anymore. Tak boleh lah. Nak tutup kedai. I cannot sustain. EDOS. So this was actually PhD work of one of my students who looked at how to mitigate EDOS attacks. Right? So that's a new interesting area which is unique to cloud. Right? Like DDoS, but not DDoS. Okay? So if you're doing research in cloud computing, probably an area you can look into. A lot of gaps to look at and address. Okay, any questions? Okay, right. Basically, I work at open source because leverage of the growing community of developers works across multiple hardware infrastructures, hardware neutral, possible to deploy at any for any service provider or on-premise, and so on and so forth. Just I introduce a bit on OpenStack. OpenStack is an open source cloud controller which provides compute, storage, and networking resources with service components. It's open source, managed by OpenStack Foundation, which I am a member of, active member, where initially when it was launched, we used to report bugs, issues, security problems, and all that. I'm no longer active in the community. It lets you to deploy virtual machine other instances that handle different tasks, right? So these are the major components of OpenStack. You have compute, networking, and storage, right? If you want to just do cloud storage, you just use this module. You can come up with cloud storage services. If you want to come up with virtual machines, you can use this module. If you want to provide network as a service, you can use this module, or you can use these three modules in hybrid. Right? You can spin off various services using OpenStack. Right? It's not bound to just VMs. Right? So Nova is compute, Swift is how to store object. These are competing standards. We are not sure which one will become the preferred one. Syndex block storage, Glance is image service, Neutron is for networking, Horizon is for your web interface, Cellmeter is for IoT telemetry. Have you heard of MQTT? Who's doing IoT research? Yeah.
Message query, messaging query, something. Messaging protocol.
What model does it use? I'm just asking you.
Messaging query.
What model does it use? Publisher subscriber. Right? So an implementation of this is the one I used to teach in my class is Mosquito. Right? In OpenStack we have something called RabbitMQ. Right? If you go and check CVE Mitra, have you guys gone to this site before? CVE Mitra. CVE is common vulnerabilities and exploits. It lists all the day zero vulnerabilities for all types of platforms. Windows, Linux, MQTT, blah, 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 everything. If you go and check for OpenStack, I don't have network connection, so I can't show you. Okay? So we go to this website. Okay, this will highlight of all the day zero vulnerabilities that exist in any computing platform, IoT, whatever, everything. Right? Of course, 70% of it is in Windows. 70% of the vulnerabilities are about Windows. About 10% about Linux. About 5% about Mac. Right? Quite a number of Android, and also OpenStack and so on. Anything you can, even Oracle. Okay, so I'm looking at RabbitMQ, but I decided not to move forward because that's my search. Search. This is the most recent vulnerability found on OpenStack, right? 2018. RabbitMQ. So if you're working on RabbitMQ, it is secure because it uses HTTP, not S. Then it can be attacked. So I'm not using it for the moment. I got no time to explore this. So you can see that. Not just that. So RabbitMQ is an example of MQTT implementation for OpenStack. So if you scroll further down, there's so many, like in the federation component, how Keystone is, how do you manage the key for user access? That was another PhD of mine which did research. Exposure of sensitive information. Okay, so not just OpenStack, you can search Apple. So never ever go and tell anyone that it's secure. It is more secure, not secure. Okay? So this is, if you're into security research, this website is important. It also gives you an idea for your research topics or topics to give to your students and so on and so forth. Right? Okay, let me just finish up. And orchestration is a bit long, so I won't go into details, we're running out of time. So these are some of the users, Rackspace, NASA, Intel. So all these people are using Intel, right? I was with Intel for 8 years. When I said open source is the way to go, they say you cannot do that because you will make Microsoft angry. Intel is always Microsoft. Every product it has to be big Microsoft. I say why we're not selling testing with Linux, and Red Hat, software and all that. No, cannot. But now I use open source. Right? You can't run away from open source. OpenStack being an open source cloud controller will become the de facto standard. Okay? I will go into review security and all that jazz. So even within OpenStack, there are various domains of security issues. The tenant security domain, you need to make sure they are isolated at every level. There has been cases, earlier releases, where a malware that infected one domain, one tenant, has infected all the other domains, all the other tenants. But this is in a test environment. Lucky we caught it, we reported it to the OpenStack Foundation. Right? So you won't find that issue anymore, but that's an example. Public security domain, how you protect against EDOS, what do you call this, cross-site scripting, web interface and all that. Management network, how your configuration is done by your network guy, and so on and so forth. So there's 3 major domains that we need to be careful. Right? And most of the recent release OpenStack is very secure. More secure, not secure. We always find new issues every day, but based on my observation, based on my discussion, it is quite secure compared to when I worked 5 years ago. I wouldn't trust it at that time. Now I would say yes.
Compared to like VMware or other virtual operating system,
VMware.
is there any comparison with the proprietary license?
The thing is that the proprietary one are like Azure, by Microsoft or by IBM, right? There is no apple-to-apple comparison. There was a comparison between open source cloud controller to another open source. It used to be Eucalyptus to OpenStack, right? We were deciding whether Eucalyptus or OpenStack because they were neck to neck. But in 2013, Eucalyptus community joined OpenStack. So there's only OpenStack that is standing now. So yeah. So as for open source controller, OpenStack, there's no competitor. Used to be quite a number, but no, they all joined this community, right? But comparing to proprietary, that's not. I mean, no, if you look at this number,
Yeah, it's
all using OpenStack. It's quite. It's all. People used to be doubtful open source technology. Organization like NASA, Intel, they like to use proprietary because it's well tested, quite stable, right? It does not have any impact to your business operation. But in recent times, they have been very matured, very stabilized, tested over time. They have started to adopting open source technologies. So we can say that they are on par, maybe even better. And most important thing is no dollar sign. You can take it and extend it to whatever you want to do it. Nobody's going to say anything. Okay? So I think I will stop here. The rest of the slides I will share with you. You can read and find out more. Right? If you have any questions on this or OpenStack and all that, you can always email me. That's my email here. Okay? All right? Any questions?
So in the coming days or in future, VMware or other software will be.
They won't be able to survive.
able to thrive or not?
Yeah.
They will able to thrive or their demand will less?
They will demand less. You see, just like a scenario when you look at Red Hat and Windows Server.
Yeah.
There is still Windows Server, but the market share is about 10%. It will be like that. It will be like that.
And more secure.
Yeah, most. So the thing is that for Microsoft to respond to any threat, it takes a long time. Here, it takes a couple of days or even hours to fix any issues. So definitely,
The big community.
yes. So the community is always very active. So they're not doing it not for money, it's passion.
Yeah.
Right? When that's passion, you will do it very fast, willingly. Microsoft will be patching since day one, still patching. Right? And countries like India, China, even Bangladesh, I think you don't really trust Microsoft. Right? You do not know whether they are spying on you, just like China is spying through using Huawei products. You do not know. Linux is completely open source. OpenStack is completely open source. You can actually, there's a community that actually checks the code to see if there's any spyware code. Right? So you can be rest assured that it is very open. You can close it if you want. Okay? Any other question?
My just one query, you mentioned EDOS, economic denial of sustainability. So this type of research work, then we need a big cloud environment or just
We actually have to set up a real cloud environment.
yeah, otherwise you are actually consuming resources.
Yes.
And
We used something called DDoS simulator. Google has, it's nice enough to give this tool for free. Bonasi is botnet network simulator. You can simulate various types of attack, very volume. We tested it on computer, it killed off the network interface card.
it is free of
Physically.
cost.
Yeah?
It is free of cost or you have to buy the service?
Free.
Free.
Whatever I say, no.
So you are always open.
Open, right? The only open proprietary one I'm using is PowerPoint. Because, Malaysian government is not ready for open office,
Yes.
right? So I'm still have to use it. I have open office on my machine for my own purpose, but when I work, open.
But we have tried, in our university, we have tried once, open office, but later on,
They are not too comfortable with.
the Windows is pirated, people are using.
Ah.
So,
So that's a problem. Not for long, right? Eventually they'll start knocking on your door. We need to be ready, right? So that's important. Any other questions? All okay, all good? Okay, I'll go makan. Thank you very much.